Welcome to the VerdeVUE Pod, an Austin FC podcast brought to you by KVUE, the ABC station in Austin, Texas. I'm Paul Livingood, Senior Digital Sports Producer. Joining me, as always, is Brittany Flowers and Jake Garcia. A little later on, we'll be joined by Austin FC midfielder Jared Stroud. How are you guys doing this week? What's been up in your lives?
Jake, did you lose your headphones? Tell everybody what's going on. You too good for headphones this week? Big star?
Yeah.
Now that you're the captain?
He's the captain.
Hey, some of us anchor from in the studio nowadays, and my headphones are much more valuable kept there than they are left here.
So it is because you're a big star.
Dang.
I mean, I might not have headphones, but I got the captain band.
There you go. Brittany, what about you? What do you got going on?
Just working. Keep Austin local. Always a great segment. We do it a couple times a week, highlighting local people, places, nouns, things like that.
Go check it out on KVUE.com. You can also check out the other episodes of this VerdeVUE Pod on the KVUE's YouTube page. We've talked to Bakuda,
Adrian Healy, Brad Stuver,
the whole nine.
Diego.
So my goal is to get everyone on the team before the season's over. We'll see.
It's a good goal.
But to recap what happened in this last game.
Speaking of goals.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of goals, there haven't been any in a while.
Oh, my God. Man, shots fired. Yeah, I guess to that point, Austin FC lost their third straight game. They lost 1-0 against Nashville SC. There was a goal scored, but it got taken away. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Josh Wolf was visibly frustrated after the end of this in the post game, and he said that they weren't dangerous in front of the goal. The chances came. Some of the shots were probably from a distance, and having said that, in the opening minutes of the game, they had two chances from inside the box, clean looks, open looks, and you have to make those. And so he was just very I would say he was pretty peeved that they didn't convert those early chances. Obviously, it's frustrating to have a goal scored and then taken away after the fact. So, yeah, I'll open it up to the floor.
I don't blame him for being frustrated. These are professional soccer players. When you're at that level, you should be able to finish those goals. For me, I thought that they were taking too much time and too many touches when there were opportunities. That window is very short. You don't have 3 touches when you're in the box. You maybe have 2 if you're lucky, but they were allowing the defenders to come back, block shots. It was a little too slow when there were goal scoring opportunities. But yeah, you got to finish that. You got to finish it. And I understand his frustrations. 2 not great ones in a row. Kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I think I said last week that it was probably the worst performance of the season. This one probably even tops that one. Only 1 shot on goal, none in the first half. That's just not a winning recipe. And so I wonder right now if part of it is, kind of like how a rookie pitcher in baseball has success at the start because no one knows anything about him, and then the league adjusts. And another adjustment from, in this case, Austin FC is needed. So they're a new team. No one knows really anything about them or their players or their style of play and the philosophy that Josh Wolf coaches with. And so maybe at the start, we should have expected, all right, like new kid on the block, success isn't going to be that difficult in the immediate moment. But once teams start to get a grasp of what they're doing, once they have some film, and once they can study that film for weeks on end, that becomes something that can be used against Austin FC. And it kind of concerns me this week too, because Seattle does what Nashville does even better. Like they're not a team that's going to possess the ball a lot, but they're a team that's going to sit back, play great defense, and then hit you with counterattacks. And so that's a style of play that Austin FC does not follow. And when they face teams like that, clearly they've had problems, and now they have a test against the team that does that the best.
The one thing I noticed, once again, we've mentioned it before. The possession battle does not necessarily lead to success in terms of if you're not putting the ball on frame. But once again, they dominated possession, 59% to 41%. I want to say they've dominated possession in every game they've played, and if not, it's only been one that they haven't. But I'm pretty positive that it's been every single game they've won the possession battle. But what they haven't is shots and shots on goal. And so when you've mentioned it before, Jake, when you invest so heavily of your team and its resources into scoring, and you're not getting that scoring that you have so heavily invested into, that's where it's kind of frustrating to, from a fan's perspective, I would say, and I guess from his perspective too, to not get that output.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing that Austin FC is winning the possession battle because they have said that they want to. Like, that's part of how they play. But the second part of that is, like, when you possess the ball, you got to put the ball in the back of the net eventually. And right now they're not doing that. I think, like, hey, if they play a team that also likes to possess the ball, which they have, then Austin FC is in a position where they're like, we'll just do it better than you. And like, they've found some success doing that. But it's when you go strength on strength, Austin FC's strength of possessing the ball against a team that likes to sit back and counterattack. The counterattacks have been killing them. And that's why they're struggling right now.
Yeah. Could you imagine us playing without Brad Stuver?
Oh, man.
The man's amazing, but we've been depending on him way too much. Yeah.
Penalty kick saves. I mean, in the 81st minute of this last game, on a counterattack, they had a one-on-one breakaway that he saved with his left foot. Amazing save. But yeah, just the defensive posture and the counterattacks is obviously a point of contention. I mean, and they're, once again, I'm going to bring it up, their backline depth. Another backline person went down. Johan Romagna went down and was replaced by Julio Cascante. And Josh Wolf said in the press conference this week that he is definitely injured. That's the way he described it for him and Danny, because Danny got absolutely obliterated on that header before this Jared Stroud goal, and he got subbed on for as well. But both of those players, Johan Romagna and Danny, are injured for the foreseeable future in his eyes. And
did Coach talk about bringing Freddie Kleeman back?
He did, yeah. He said that, or he didn't say that it was like that they were for sure going to do it, but it was an option that they could explore.
Mm-hmm.
The Johan Romagna injury is big because I've felt like he's been one of the biggest surprises, and maybe a player who was a bit of unknown who's turned into like a very, very important part of the defense. And literally a minute after he left the game is when Nashville scored their goal. And it was on his side of the field too. It wasn't entirely Julio Cascante's fault. I think Danny Hosen committed the turnover that led to that counterattack in the first place. But like, losing Romagna for an extended period of time would be bad. Right now, we just don't have much information on what exactly the injury is or how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, like the goal, just they played it in from the right side and nobody marked up the goal scorer. Randall Leal, I think is his name. But he just easy first touch, boom, no one within 3-4 yards of him. And that's a tough, a really tough goal for Stuber to save at that point. You mentioned that Romagna is someone who is a surprise, and I want to talk about Jared Stroud because I feel like he is another player that is a huge surprise. They released the salaries for all these players, and he's one of the lowest paid like his production to salary difference is easily the best on the team in terms of the proportion of it. And so He's been a very pleasant surprise in terms of the offensive attack and what he brings on that side of the field.
Yeah, he's a facilitator, and I think in terms of like hidden gems, getting guys who are maybe undervalued that then exceed the expectation, like any championship team needs it, any playoff team needs it as well. So I think it's definitely good, but like he's not going to be a guy who like rescues this team. He needs people to, I mean, he can score goals, but he's not going to lead the team in goals. So the point is like, for as great of a facilitator he is, he needs someone who's also going to put the ball in the back of the net.
Be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, want it.
Yeah. And so I think from like that standpoint, like the striker position has been not great. Like Danny Hosen hasn't been able to kind of live up to the expectations that many had for him. Obviously Gallagher is a fan favorite. But like, I don't know if he's a guy who's going to lead the team in goals. So I would think Austin FC makes that designated player move for a goal scorer at some point this summer.
Yeah. Jared Stroud's also, he's a fan favorite. Did you guys see the video at the watch party where
I didn't.
He scored? Okay. So he scored when he scored and we thought it was a goal. The watch party here in Austin went insane. And of course you go insane because a goal is a goal and everybody's excited. But I think part of that is because of who it was. Like I was screaming here in my home because of who it was, because I think people root for him because he's maybe a bit of an underdog, that, like you said, he was kind of a surprise. And now we're like, oh yes, this man is solid.
Yeah, he is indeed. So we can take this opportunity since we're talking about him. We can bring him in and to the VerdeVUE Pod right now. Thanks for joining us, Jared. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So I just kind of wanted right off the bat, just jump into your impact that you've had in the first couple of games. You lead the team in assists, and you had the goal in the last game that got taken away. Just talk about, your like when you bring it, the energy you bring into the game when you sub in or when you start or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a sub, they're a bit tired and they've got some heavy legs, so you would just want to bring as much energy as you can, especially being down a goal last game. You just want to bring a ton of energy because that's basically just what the team needs, is some energy and some life to the game and create a bunch of chances. And I think I did that pretty well. And the other few games got the starts, but same mentality, just bring energy to the game and create a lot of chances.
Jared, you came to Austin in part because of your familiarity with Claudio Reyna. Detail for us what you knew about him, and it's my understanding that you knew his son as well, and how that familiarity and comfort kind of convinced you that this was a place that would be beneficial to your career.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, my younger brother, and Gio played in the youth national teams together a bunch, and I had never actually met Claudio, but Peter had known him, and I grew up in the metro area, so I knew what he was doing at NYCFC and what he created there. So seeing that was obviously positive for me. But the expansion draft's interesting. I didn't actually know much about Austin. I wasn't really researching it before the draft or anything. I was just like, yeah. It could be interesting. And then I guess once the unprotected list came out and Red Bull didn't protect me, then I started seriously thinking about it. But yeah, Claudio's been great. He's a really good recruiter, and he's done a really, really nice job here. It's been super organized.
Hello. We didn't introduce ourselves. My name is Brittany. It's so nice to meet you. Hey, will you talk about the challenges of all of these games on the road for you personally and for the team as a whole?
Yeah, playing on the road's tough. It's just the flights and not sleeping much the day after, and then kind of ruin your sleeping schedule, I guess, is the one of the tougher things, and traveling on the same day is never easy. I don't know, just with just being up that high, and I don't know, it's tough. It gets you dehydrated and stuff, and then you're to the hotel, and it just seems like a lot going on a game day. So it makes it more difficult. And then just playing in those stadiums like last game with the fans, I think it alters the ref a bit. It always feels like the other team's got more momentum, even if they don't necessarily. And yeah, those things make it tough. But at the end of the day, it's there's no excuses for us. We gotta be better. We gotta create more chances and be more together. So, but yeah, it's been tough. Mentally, it's tough, and fatigue-wise.
Follow-up question. How excited are you and the team to play in Q2 Stadium?
Yeah, we're so excited, but we got these 2 games that that are going to be really tough. 2 of the better teams in the West. So unfortunately, that stands in the way. But we see it as a good test for us to get points and get better. But we are so excited to get home. I mean, we trained there the other day, and you see the fans and the Instagrams and stuff. It's gonna be special.
How do you guys go about, because like you said, 2 of the better teams in the West are in front of that first home game. And then speaking of like this next game, Seattle, who leads the league in points right now. And that's just another full cross-country cross-country trip almost basically for you guys. Just what challenges does that present, both facing that team and then the distance that you have to go to play them?
Yeah, we know they're good teams. We know they're going to have a good crowd, and they're experienced. But we've been on the road 6 times now. We should be accustomed to it, and we should be ready to go. I think the last 2 games we've lacked energy, and maybe that's just from traveling so much, or the momentum that it feels like in these stadiums. And it could be taking a toll on us, but we have to come in there and we got to bring a lot more energy, and we got to fight a little bit more and scrap a little bit more. Like we've done in the past. And we've got to bring that back. And I think that's at the minimum for us to at least give everything we can, energy, fight, mentality, because that's how I feel like we could scrape some points here. We know they're good teams. We know they have quality, but we know we do too. So we got to bring the energy and match their intensity and probably bring more to get an away point or 3.
And you talked about earlier how, part of your role is to bring that energy and intensity. Where does that come from? And is there any answer other than the fact that you grew up with 3 other brothers?
Yeah, I grew up in an aggressive house. No, I think it's no. I mean, I've had a long career, right? My whole childhood was one of the smaller players. Always had to scrap. Got cut from the academy when I was 14, 13, never got pushed as the main guy, never got national team call-ups, all the way till 18. And then wasn't even recruited by big schools, because I was super small. And I think that's always been a theme of my life, is just, being, you always have to scrap for your spot and earn your place. And then the same went through college, 4th round draft pick. It's never been necessarily easy for me, and I think that's always strung a lot of motivation for me. You can even see with USL, put 2 years in there. Tough contracts, tough environments. Not easy to get promoted to the first team, and it's just always been like that. So hopefully, I always keep that edge every day in training, and every time I step out on the field.
We've definitely seen it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about the moment of absolute thrill where it wasn't just you, like I was in my living room screaming, and then just like the roller coaster of emotion? Like, did you know ahead of time, like when they were reviewing it, were you like, oh crap, there is a chance I was off? Or were you like, no way?
Yeah, I mean, I think they finessed me a bit because they brought the ball all the way back to the the center of the field. So that was like, I was like, yeah, maybe, I mean, for sure, maybe I thought that there was a step off. But since the sideline ref didn't call it, and Daniel Pereira got hit so hard, I thought maybe it didn't hit him. But yeah, of course they let me celly and do everything, and then once he went to video review, I thought, yeah, I mean, he might call it back, unfortunately. So yeah, definitely there was always a little bit of doubt in my head, was I maybe offside? And with VAR, it's just unfortunate.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm just going to ask you anyway. What was more exciting for you, scoring that goal or the absolute gorgeous passes that you had on the goals that actually counted?
No, I mean the goals that counted because we got points from those games and that helped us, to get points. Obviously, it would have been super nice getting the point or maybe 3 if that goal goes in and maybe it changed the momentum. But I still think the goals that count are still more important. But it felt good and it's given me a taste. So hopefully next game it'll be real.
and those assists that's such a big part of your game. You're the single season and all-time assist record holder at Colgate. When whether you start a game or you come into the game as a substitute, are you looking to be that facilitator? And is that what you kind of predicate your game on?
Yeah, I think it's always been an important part of my game. Every season, I've done well in terms of assists. And yeah, I think it's just when I play on the right, I have a nice right foot and can play nice balls in. Typically in the past when I played on the left during seasons, I've scored a little bit more just in terms of, cutting in and shooting with my right. So I think naturally I'll take it to my right and look for those balls. But yeah, I think it's always been a part of my game through college, as a youth player. Until now. So yeah, I've been working on some more shooting and stuff, hopefully add some more goals. But yeah, the assists will always be one of the cores of my game for sure.
You have great vision and it's not like you take many touches. You literally either hit it first time or you take 2 touches and that's it, that's the window. Will you talk about what it's been like living in Austin compared to New York?
Yeah, Austin is, it's been really cool. One of the differences is obviously I don't have my family here, or any sort of family here. But I've met a lot of friends. It seems like most people in Austin are a transplant, and they're put here, and they've this is kind of their first time as well, which is nice, especially being an expansion pick. But the guys on the team have been great, and we've formed really special relationships already. But the city itself is beautiful. I live downtown, love it. Love going on the lake. I mean, there's just so much outdoor stuff to do that wasn't really there in New Jersey. But obviously, New York City is a special place in my heart, and I love that place as well. But Austin's been a really cool change up, and the weather's been a lot better so far till the summer.
Yeah.
With that, do you want to go into your rapid fire? Brittany?
Of course. Jared, I don't know if you've seen these, but we're going to do a rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No.
Okay.
Confidence. Fine. I like it.
Well, get nervous.
Wrong,
okay.
Right.
Question number 1, In-N-Out or Whataburger?
In-N-Out. Never been to Whataburger.
You should go, especially now that you're in Texas. Who is the funniest person on the team?
Kikuta Mane.
A different answer. Interesting. Who's the best dressed on the team?
Best dressed? I'm gonna go with Julio.
Okay. I thought that maybe because you looked to the side, I was like, who's giving you the answers here?
There's no one over here. Okay. I had to think about it for a second.
Okay. What should people get red cards and yellow cards for in real life?
In real life? Mm-hmm. Red cards for blowing red lights and yellow cards for I don't know.
Do you have a pet peeve?
What would be a yellow card? Let me think. Eating with your hands, maybe.
What if it's a burger?
What if it's a hand food?
If it's a hand food, then fair. But doing some nasty stuff with I don't know what. If you're eating a steak with your hands, I mean that's a yellow.
Dang, I've never eaten a steak with my hands, but
I don't even know if I've ever seen that before.
I might go straight to red for that one.
Okay, if animals could talk, which animal would be the rudest?
The rudest?
Mm-hmm.
I think a cat.
Oh, not a cat lover.
A bit mean.
Are you superstitious? Do you have a game day ritual?
Not necessarily. I just like to put my right cleat on before my left. That's about it.
Are
least
you
don't
sitting when
switch-
you put your cleats on, or do you stand to put your cleats on and balance?
Always got to sit. That would be tough to put them on with standing.
I always put my cleats on standing. What's your go-to dance move?
Go-to dance move. Oof. Have you ever seen The Jerk?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to do that in high school. So I guess that
Is that your goal celebration?
goal celebration. It's got to be the LV Los Verdes. Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are you going to switch up your goal celebration to just like wait and just look at the ref for a minute? Or you could do one of these.
I think you get a yellow card for that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Don't do that then. Do not do it. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song. Oof, I haven't done karaoke in a while. I don't know. It would probably have to be an upbeat song, maybe a Bruno Mars song.
Ooh.
Okay.
Like that.
That's what Freddie Kleeman said. We've actually had
But never mind.
on here singing. Oh, you did. Who's the best singer on the team? Speaking of karaoke.
I think Seba. I haven't heard much from him, but he's always humming. Not many guys sing around here, but I think maybe Seba.
Okay. What's your favorite Austin food that you've had so far?
Oh, Terry Black's. It's so good.
Oh,
but I haven't tried
barbecue.
Franklin, so. But Terry Black's.
Yeah,
make
Terry
sure,
Black's
you
is great.
have 14 hours
To wait in line.
before you try Franklin.
I know.
Just order ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's the.
Okay.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I could juggle with my hands. That's about it.
2 or 3 items?
3 items, and then I can go 2 at once in one hand.
Wow. Could you give us a sample? Pretend like you have items in your hand and then Wow, I believe you now.
You like that?
Okay, last question. In your best Matthew McConaughey impression, will you please say all right, all right, all right?
All right.
Wow, that was really good.
I think that's probably the best one I've heard.
That was
I don't
pretty
know
good.
who's my competition, but if it's Freddie, then I think I got him.
No, well, Brad says that he's second best, but I think yours is better than Brad. But Danny's is by far my favorite.
Danny Pereira?
It's the best.
All right, I'll go ask him after this.
Okay, that concludes this week's rapid fire. You were great.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
There you go. I wanted to really quickly go back and ask you, because you mentioned we mentioned your siblings, your brothers, and the fact that your younger brother plays at Duke. Well, I want to know, what were the backyard games at the Stroud household like?
They were aggressive, man. It was always 2-on-2. So it was always my older brother and the youngest, who's the one at Duke now.
Mm-hmm.
And it always ended up in a fight, or we would always, the youngest one, Pete, who ended up at Duke, would always end up crying and going upstairs, and we'd always be convincing him to stay downstairs and that he was winning. So it always ended with either someone crying or someone getting hurt or someone getting pissed. And but yeah, always in the backyard, and in the winter it was in the basement. But yeah, that's definitely where we
when holidays come around, do you still do some 2v2 or no?
Yeah, we do. And yeah, and when we were kids, my parents would sometimes get us boxing gloves and stuff, so we do some other activities as well. But yeah, and when we go back too, my dad will join in too if it's on the weekend, and sometimes my brother's fiance now. But it's just fun. But that's what it was like.
Do you always win? Clearly, right?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it depends. But we'd always have to let the youngest win sometimes, otherwise he'd be disheartened. But it always got super chippy for sure. A lot of ice, a lot of aggression.
The second youngest also ended up going to Colgate, right?
Yeah. And he plays there, and him and Pete are playing PDL with Red Bull right now, which is good. But yeah, maybe we'll get them to Austin FC one day. We'll see how it works out.
You know what I like about Jared Stroud? I like that he was like, I was the little guy. I was the person that wasn't picked first. And then he uses that and he takes that with him. And everybody loves an underdog story.
I do like that. That was a really cool thing.
Can I what?
Can you relate to that?
Very much so. I'm a 30-year-old woman with 2 children running around with girls who are in their mid-20s. One who played professionally for the NWSL and overseas, and others who have played like high-level college soccer. But
I find it interesting to hear him talk about the difference of like growing up in the Northeast and like his family versus coming here and being by himself and being away from family.
His family sounds like a lot of fun.
It does.
If they want to adopt me as like a sister, I'll join.
You were like, I definitely want to be a part of those backyard, Thanksgiving soccer matches or whatever.
I'd really want to be his youngest brother. The youngest of a family of 4 soccer players, whether they're guys or girls. Like, you're going to be the best soccer player for sure. Yep. His story is not going to be an underdog story. His story is going to be, I benefited from playing with my older brothers and all of their friends, and I got better because of it. Like that, the guy that Jared Stroud depicted who ended every match crying is now like a star at Duke. So this is just how life works sometimes. And as the oldest child, I'm upset about it.
Are your younger siblings more talented than you?
My youngest brother is definitely the most athletic in the family. The application of those skills was sometimes not properly done, which like as the older brother killed me because I was like, dude, like if I were as good as you, I would be way better than you. So like we had our different things. Like I was kind of like the short, hard worker, first one there, last one to leave, true coach's son type mentality. Whereas my brother had all the talent in the world, but he was not the first one there and not the last one to leave. So,
yeah, he's gonna bring that gritty style he talked about.
I do. I want more scrap out of the team. I want
Jared Stroud's got plenty of scrap. I don't know if you saw.
One person is not going to do it for us.
Yeah.
We need a little more scrap. We need. I'm not going to call anybody out specifically. But watching this game, one of my pet peeves is when you lose the ball and then you don't work your behind off to get that ball back. You just kind of stand there, whether it was like a bad pass to you or you lost the ball and you just kind of stand there and go, well, there it goes. That I saw that a few times, which is not a great sign. And I know that's not, I don't think our baseline is like, oh, well, there it goes. I think it was a bad week.
Yeah,
I agree with you, but like only to a certain extent, because I think that scrappiness is something that obviously every team needs, but I don't know if every player needs to play with their hair on fire. And the reason I say that is because, for example, the designated players and maybe the higher paid players on the roster, they are the talent. Like they are there because they are creative with the ball. They're there because, they have these innate abilities that cannot be coached. And like, I'm not saying for them that they should get a free pass to not work hard, but I'm just saying like their role isn't exactly to be a Jared Stroud or an Alex Ring Energizer type bunny. They have a slightly different role. And I think like, as much as they can focus their energies at like maximizing that role is going to be helpful in the long run.
I'd like to see.
Did that make any sense?
Energy.
Yeah.
Energy. So does Josh Folt. Josh Folt wants to see energy.
Cecilio got back this past weekend. Like he tracked back. That was something that I thought we hadn't really seen much of him doing. So that was interesting. But yeah, I would rather see him score 2 goals than track back and play defense.
And that's my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, looking forward to the next game. Obviously, they're gonna need all the energy they can get with playing the wagon of the MLS, as one Jake Garcia dubbed them. For anyone who wants to know what a wagon is, go watch the last podcast, and you can understand what he's talking about. But he's talking about the Seattle Sounders. They're first in the league, first in the West with 17 points. They've won 5 matches and 2 draws. Josh Wolf has talked about them, saying that they play the transition game extremely well. They sit back and they wait for you to make a mistake, and then they go get you. They're not looking to push the ball, and just it's going to be nationally televised. It's another big nationally televised game, and we can talk about another nationally televised game that just got announced here in a little bit. But all eyes are going to be on Seattle and Austin on Sunday.
Yeah. This is the exact kind of scenario that I left you guys with last weekend of what happens if Austin FC loses to Nashville and then they go up against the best team in the league, and then it's a 4-game losing streak, and now like they're really limping to the finish line. At the
Some players literally limping.
Yeah. And so Austin FC playing without probably 2 starters in Danny Pereira and Johan Romagna. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that like the Oaks, as I've been calling them on air, are playing for a tie, but I think they'd be very happy with a tie.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, but no, they won't be playing. I just hope that they're not playing to like, I don't want them to be playing to not lose, you know?
They're not going to do that.
The thing is it's soccer and it's sports. When it comes down to it, anybody can beat anybody in this game. You know, who knows how practice went for them this week, I'm sure that it was very intense. Hopefully they can all rally around this and play their actual game. I at least want them to play to their capability instead of, I don't think we saw the best team for the last couple weeks. I want them to play to their capability, best team against best team, like minus a couple players. But like their best that they possibly can against the other team. Like I want it to be a game. I'm hoping, because we didn't see that the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned them playing, for wins or ties or whatever. And I mean, Matt Beasler talked about that after the LA Galaxy game, and he said that, and he alluded to the fact like in this league, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And that applies throughout the league. So they won't go. Obviously, as a professional athlete, you're not going to go into a game think, like maybe we can tie them because they're better than us. Like, no, they're going to go for the 3 points, but I agree with Jake that like if they did, after it's all said and done, if they got a tie, I don't think they would be too upset about that.
They're coming off of a losing streak.
Yeah.
I want them to play like it. I want them to play like they have something to prove, to play like, hey, don't count us out.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll see. I wanted that last week too.
And so to move forward with the announcements from this week, Austin FC announced that they're going to hold Q2 at 100% capacity for both the opening match against San Jose and then also the women's national team game 3 days before that. So that'll be fun, positive news to see, all the fans in there raising the roof, doing their thing.
Did you all see the video of Matthew McConaughey?
I did. Yeah, with Los Verdes, or with the, I guess it was just like the overall supporters. La Murga, Los Verdes, all them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's going to be wild. I look forward to that first game. I also, of course, very much look forward to the U.S. women's national team playing. And I'm sure Austin does too. Yeah. Like Austin loves soccer and really loves the U.S. women's national team.
You're going to be there, right?
Oh, I'll be there. I got tickets.
She was
Well,
Babe,
ready
you know what?
actually.
I bought tickets in the same seats for our Austin FC season tickets because I want to see a soccer game in my seat.
In your seat.
Were they pretty expensive?
Okay, the lowest I saw for the U.S. Women's National Team was 48 was the lowest, which is not bad.
No.
And then it just went up from there. And boy, did it go up.
So, you know what's wild to me? I wrote these numbers down. And I honestly should have researched this beforehand to see how this compares to either other MLS teams or just stadium seating across different sports. So Q2 Stadium, when it was announced that they can have 100% capacity for the season opener and the entire season, that we got all these numbers. And we knew the first number, which is that the stadium can fit 20,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
Of those, we'll say 21,000 people that can fit in the stadium. Of those 21,000 seats, almost 16,000 of them are season ticket holders.
Three quarters of the 75%.
75%. Like, to me, that seems big. Like, that's astronomical.
Wow.
And I don't know if I'm out of line in thinking that. Does that seem like a huge section of the stadium for season ticket holders? Because that means only on a given match, there are only 4,000 tickets for just like single
Per
game.
game. Yeah.
Okay, but with that, you have to think the wait list is what, 14,000 people deep?
No, the number we got this week was the season ticket wait list was 21,000. So 21,000.
They're getting dibs
they have
before.
an entire stadium's worth of people who are on the wait list for season tickets. That's insane.
Wild. You're just making me feel like I'm so lucky that I got season tickets.
You are, and like making me feel lucky that like at least I'll have a media credential to cover all these things. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. That's
when you're down on the field, will you get a shot of me in my seats and I'll wave to you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Get it for Instagram.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. You're always there for me.
Sure am. I mean, what captains do.
Ugh. I didn't vote for you when we had our voting for who should be captain.
Team voting. So that must mean that I voted for him because he's not going to. Well, he would have voted for himself.
He voted for himself. So it was you.
Oh, my gosh. But to other Austin FC news this week, I alluded to it earlier, they rescheduled and got another national. I don't know the exact numbers of how it compares to other teams in MLS, but this is going to be their fourth nationally televised game. They moved the Portland Timbers game from a Saturday, July 3rd, up to Thursday so that they could do a primetime FS1 matchup. And that'll be a home game here in Austin. But it once again, when we brought it up before and they talked about moving I think it was the Kansas City game up like a month to have that be a primetime game. It's very noted that the league is like, we need to get as many eyes on this team as possible because they're the brand new shiny toy. They've got McConaughey attached to it. You know, there's so much marketability with this club. And it's showing with all these schedule changes and everything.
Yeah. Austin was the biggest city in the country before Austin FC that didn't have a professional sports team. So
I love so much that it's soccer too. Obviously. What a statement for me to have made.
I think in a sense, it almost kind of had to be soccer. There's for sure not going to be a football team here because Jerry Jones wouldn't allow it. And the University of Texas would try and do everything in its power to make sure that didn't happen. Like baseball, maybe, but that would probably be more like a Round Rock area type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Soccer makes sense. It makes so much sense. Would be too close to have a basketball team because the Spurs are right down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I guess we're going to have to see what this team has got for us this upcoming weekend. Will they shock the world and shock the MLS and take down the big bad wolf of the wagon, unhitch the wagon, as they would say, of
Yes.
the MLS?
They will.
Brittany says yes, they will.
I don't know if they will. And like, again, I've said this before, like as someone who is just like trying to observe the team as a neutral third party person, like if you would have told me at the start of the season that like at one point this year, Austin FC will have a 3-game losing streak, would I have been surprised? No, like that's totally expected. So
as an expansion team.
yeah. So like the sky is not falling. They haven't played great. And I think we should all acknowledge that. But like, even if it's a 4-game losing streak, there will be another day. The sun will come up. It's going to be okay.
All right, Chicken Little, we're going to get out of here. For all of your Austin FC content, you can go to KVUE.com/Austin FC, or you can watch us on the VerdeVUE Pod, where we talk about Chicken Little and wagons and what's some other ridiculous stuff about. I don't know. Brittany's rapid fire, which are always extremely entertaining.
Apples, wasn't Apples one of them?
Yeah,
Apples.
the dang it! I should have asked Jared Stroud about apples.
Northeast guy too. You know lacrosse.
He knows. That was such a missed opportunity. I am disappointed. Oh well. Well, I'll have to ask him next time he comes. Yep, yellow. Man, what a missed opportunity. Oh well. That'll do it for us. We're gonna catch you next week. See you later. I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay, stand by.
Cool. 3, 2, 1.
Wait.
I'm down to
Wait.
got the exact reaction that I wanted. Wait.
Oh, did you start counting down to rattle me on purpose?
Yes, exactly.
Rattled.
Hold on, let me get my captain's.
Rattle the rattler.
Yep.
I was so glad that me and you were on the same page about that reference going into that game.
Yeah.
I had been thinking about that for like a week, and I just didn't tell anybody. And then I mentioned it, and you were like, "Yeah, I totally was going to tweet that." And I was like, "That," or "Oh yeah, Captain's Band."